Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Squared Up. I'm Bill Swinford.
I'm Monica Daniels.
We're bringing this to you from the Swinford Media Group on Tower Square in Marion, Illinois, and we are just having so much fun with our new Squared Up podcast, aren't we?
We are. We're meeting people, having great conversations.
Yeah, and
loving this.
We're getting a lot of feedback from you all too, and seeing new followers coming on all the time. So we want to keep that going. We hope that you'll respond every time we ask you something. We hope you'll give us some feedback and or top that joke that I gave last Thursday. Today is Tuesday, May the 14th, and we are bringing you today a wonderful opportunity to hear from the City of Marion Chief of Staff, Cody Moake. Mm-hmm. He's going to be coming to us, tell us what's new at City Hall, right?
Yeah. He's giving us all of the scoop on behind the scenes and what is happening up on the square to answer your questions.
Yeah, he's got not just the square, but the entire town to worry about every day, and he does such a great job along with the whole administration of managing it, and he's a good friend of ours. So he's also marking 5 years in office now, so we definitely wanted to talk to him about that. Before we get into that, though, I got something I got to share with you.
Okay.
So you know about artificial intelligence, AI. You hear AI all the time these days, right?
Taking over. Mm-hmm.
Right. And so in our business, in the creative business, there's always all this debate about how much should you use AI? And, AI is becoming a thing even for kids doing their homework and turning in papers and stuff. And there's an opportunity that if you don't know what's out there, if you get online, you can find places that you can just give them just some random stuff that you need turned into a paper, and AI will write a school paper for you.
It's a different time than when we were going to school.
Yeah, I kind of wish we had that.
So different, yeah. But
just think about, though, if we'd have had that, how would we have developed some of the skills we have? You're a great writer, and I do that for a living. And if you rely too heavily on artificial intelligence, you never work your way through all that stuff.
Yeah, to develop those areas of our brain that are in charge of creativity and structure and writing and, different things. I think that the technology is definitely taking us into good things and also some challenges that we probably need to step back and say, what direction is this going and how can we maneuver it a little bit better for our benefit so that it doesn't hurt us.
Yeah, it's a little concerning, how it's come so far in such a short amount of time, ever since they started making AI engines available to the public. Mm-hmm. I have a son, Sam, my second son, who just loves this stuff. And he's gotten really good at using it and using it to create different things that he mostly just finds hilarious. And he's been on a kick lately. Anyway, what I want to share with you, he's been on a kick lately where he's been using AI to write songs.
Okay.
And so not only do you give it like a kind of a theme and an idea of what you want the song to be about, not only will AI write songs, AI will then provide an AI voice to an AI instrument to create an AI recording of your AI song.
Oh, okay.
It's incredible.
And could be creepy, but it could be incredible.
That's for sure. It is creepy. But one of the things that I wanted to share with you today is an AI song that Sam had written about Squared Up.
Okay, sure.
All right. So it mentions you, mentions me, mentions us.
Okay.
And we'll see what AI thinks. He told him to do it in kind of a 90s style. It's really kind of upbeat. You got to listen closely. We're going to play it for you.
It's old school, right?
It's old school.
Well,
90s is old school. I don't.
Not for me or you, not for any of us, but yeah.
No,
that was our prime, right?
Yeah, but for Sam, he was born in 98, so. It's really old school for Sam. But anyway, let me play this for you.
Okay.
I think you'll get a kick out of it. You ready?
Yeah.
There we go.
I'm ready.
Monica Moake, she's got the skills. Bill, a dad of four, he's got the thrills. Learning on camera. Chemistry's real. Call it split up. It's a magical deal. Monica's got the brushes, make your faces glow. Bill's publishing news, he's a pro. Talking about Marion, a place they both know. The banter's on point, it's a fun-loving show. Square up and make it move. Monica and Bill, they got the groove. Running on camera.
Okay, and then it goes into this long instrumental break that goes on way too long, but that's the gist of it. You get the idea.
Yeah, that was really good.
It's amazing.
It was really good. AI has some skills.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
It says I have skills too.
You have skills.
And I got the thrills and the skills.
I have the makeup skills.
And you got the makeup skills, it said.
And the brush.
And we know you have the makeup skills, right?
I do.
I mean, you come to us from your job on the Lancome counter at Dillard's, where you're the expert in this thing, and so thank goodness. This is a recurring thing. Thank goodness for you all that she can kind of temper this a little bit for you before we go on camera. So it picked up on that, right? Picked up on that you got that, and it keeps using this flirting on camera thing. Do you think we flirt on camera?
I think we flirt a little bit on camera.
Yeah.
I think we do.
Yeah.
Tom's going to say yes.
Absolutely.
Tom, is it uncomfortable?
Yeah. No,
Is it awkward,
it's fine. No, it's okay. It's okay.
So-
Abbie's not here to talk about that today, but she would totally agree with me right now.
Yeah, we're missing Abbie. Abbie couldn't be here for this one, but yeah, I think that's kind of a cool song, and even though I'm not fully on board with AI, and there's another AI thing that's coming out. Randy Travis, the country music singer, who had a stroke. Forever and ever, amen.
Yeah.
That guy.
Yeah.
Right, Randy Travis, great. Sounds much better than that. Anyway, he had a stroke, and so he can't really perform anymore, can only sing just a little bit, but using recordings of his voice from the past, and with a new song that was written for him, they have created a new song, a new Randy Travis song that is dropping, and I bet it's going to go up the charts. And I saw a video of Randy listening to this. He was actually in the studio helping the production of this, and he was just so excited. It was so sweet to see him be happy and be able to see new music put out.
Didn't Billy Joel recently
well,
use AI to that was
For a music video.
Yeah, that was a phenomenal video that he did using AI, using all of the different. He's had a music career for, you're the music buff between the two of us.
50 years.
50 years, and every decade, is just a new era for Billy Joel. He's one of my favorite artists, musicians.
Right.
He's just so gifted. But he did an AI video recreating every era of his music career.
Yeah, and so you saw him behind the piano at the beginning. It's old Billy Joel,
Yeah.
70-something Billy Joel, singing this brand new song, which is a great song. And then next thing you know, you see the same piano, but there's an ashtray and a cigarette in it. And it flashes back to Billy, and he's like 20-something Billy sitting playing.
Same thing was done with the Indiana Jones movie, the latest one.
Oh, is that
where
right?
He had to have a young Indy.
Oh, yeah.
And they did the same thing.
Yeah, so it's got its purposes in creating an entertainment that lends itself to doing some very cool things.
Bring back some nostalgia. And so it definitely has its place in just,
Mark Hamill got to be in the Mandalorian series playing young Luke Skywalker again this way. The last episode of the first season of The Mandalorian on the Disney Channel, if you're into that kind of thing. I'm into that kind of thing.
Right.
He appears at the end of that as Luke Skywalker, and he was involved in that shoot as well as a body double, and it looks like a young Luke Skywalker. It's amazing. So it's kind of fun. Again, there's concerns about what else AI could be used for and how it could be misused, but I think we might use that song somehow.
I think we should. I think it's really good. Thank you, Sam, for sending that to us.
We might
love it.
We might bring Sam on and have him.
Maybe he could teach
share
us
other
some of
stuff.
his AI skills.
Share some other things with us. Anyway, I thought you'd get a kick out of that, and I was excited to share
It was fun.
that with you all.
It's really fun.
But mostly today we want to talk about again the city of Marion, and we've been talking about the square and the renovations happening. Just this morning, I walked back from the post office up one of the new sidewalks they've put in on East Main Street, and it's great. It's more accessible, and it's very nice. It's gonna be just such a great experience for pedestrians now as this gets polished up. And we wanted to get a chance to bring on our first guest, and we're going to talk to him by Zoom. Cody Moake is the Chief of Staff of the City of Marion. That means he is Mike Absher's right-hand man, has been for the last 5 years, the entire Absher administration, and we are pleased to have him join us by Zoom now. Hi, Cody.
Thanks for having me.
And we are at 5 years, aren't we, Cody?
We are, just past that milestone.
Does it seem like 5 years?
In some respects, and in some respects, it seems like it was, 6 months ago. Time's a funny thing for sure.
It's been quite a little stretch of 5 years, hasn't it?
Yeah. So, starting 5 years ago, Mayor Absher kind of put together his 2020 vision, and that was really the start of really everything he wanted to accomplish, at least in those first 4 years. And then a little thing called COVID happened, and even though that could have easily derailed some of those plans, I think everything that he laid out in that vision, we've been able to execute, at least in part, if not fully, since that time. And so it's not just about his vision. It's about, all of our department heads, all of our employees who come to work every day, share in that vision, and choose to make Marion one of the, in my opinion, the best place to live, not only in Southern Illinois, but in our region, in our state. And so I think having that shared vision is really what has helped roll that plan out so effectively over these last 5 years.
Yeah, and I think one of the most impressive things is that there was never a sense that anybody was using COVID as an excuse to put anything on pause or reverse. Obviously, there were some things that would have been held up by it, but the vision was there going in, and the vision has been carried through. And in some ways, it gave Marion as a community something to get excited about it, and get excited about in the midst of COVID.
Well, and a lot of new ideas spawned out of COVID as well. Mm-hmm. I give so much credit to Josh Benson for coming up with the idea of kind of creating the Mural District when it was uncertain how the Civic Center could operate during COVID. And he had this wonderful idea. I think today, my number may be off, but I think we have 28 murals in town. Some of those came well before that idea, and the majority of those have come, since that idea. And that's just another thing that one, I think has served as a regional model, and I see other communities adopting murals now between Carbondale, Murfreesboro, Heron. It's such a wonderful thing, and it's really a testament to Josh's creativity. And obviously, I'd be remiss not to give credit to Sean Vincelette, who helped Josh every step of the way, and him and Allison Hassler, who kind of developed the mural program. And that really saw the majority of those murals come to town from really world-renowned artists that we never thought we'd see in Marion. And so, not only have we not used COVID as an excuse, to your point, but we really, I think, maximized what the world threw at us during that period, for sure.
Yeah, and one thing about our communities in this area, and Marion's probably at the top of this list, is there's such a sense of pride among the residents and among the former residents. Sean Vincelette lives in Atlanta, and yet he loves his hometown so much that, one, he visits a lot of times, and two, he throws himself into these projects. He does another project. He's an artist. In addition to the murals, he does other projects that kind of document landmarks and what used to be. It's called the Marion Landmarks Series, and he's got paintings of old Marion, and yet he gets just as excited as we do about where it's going, because so much of where we're going is kind of taking paying tribute to the past and the restoration of buildings and that kind of thing. So shout out to the administration for casting this vision, and then of course the whole community for jumping on.
Yeah.
So as you have had 5 years now to adjust to being the chief of staff. What would you say has been the most surprising part of your position that maybe you didn't anticipate coming in?
I think I touched on it a little bit earlier. We've got a lot of times as a resident, you don't see all the moving pieces that make a city operate. And I don't mean this in a offensive way by any means, but I think it's surprising to know how many people are working behind the scenes. We've got nearly 200 full-time employees citywide that are constantly working, whether it's something you don't see, like maybe cleaning out a ditch because of all the rain that we're getting and to keep the stormwater moving so it's not backing up in people's yards, to our water and sewer departments that are making sure that those utilities are moving in the right direction. It's just a constant effort and a constant vision by each of the department heads to really execute their plan, execute what they do well. We get a ton of complaints about all types of things, and I wish instead of nearly 200 full-time employees, we had 800, 1,000 full-time employees, so we could address all these things yesterday. But that's unfortunately not the reality. But I think it would be helpful for people to understand how hard these men and women that work for the city work on a daily basis to complete their tasks, as small or as unseen as they may be. It's all part of a bigger picture. And this, your question was specifically what's been the most surprising thing to me. It's just that they show up every day, often in a thankless position, to do whatever it may be, small or large, to make the city a better place. And I'm so grateful for every single one of those, not only our full-time employees, but our part-time employees. And, Marion's really unique in that we have all these non-typical city offerings. The Civic Center being a city entity, that's not always that's a luxury that we have. Same with the Hub. Even the senior citizens is a luxury. Jill at Club 60 does an unbelievable job. And those aren't typically operated by a city apparatus, but we're truly blessed, and it's unbelievably unique that, one, we have the offerings that we do, and two, that we found the right people, whether that was this administration or longtime hires that do an unbelievable job at executing their role.
So how are you liking the location now that you're in up at City Hall? Yeah. Tell us about
the new
that.
City Hall. Well, obviously that was a long project. It took a little over 2 years to start to finish. And it's been obviously a welcome sight for I think our city staff, being in a new facility like that. That's always a kind of a perk of the job, I guess, as I see it. But, from a community standpoint, one of the main motivations that we had, really two main motivations. The first being it's nice to have a place where all city services that 90% of the public interact with are all on one level. You can walk in either one of the front doors of City Hall, correspond with the city clerk, the water office, the building and code services. Everything is right there. And so that was the primary motivation. The secondary motivation is that we had a concern that maybe not so distant in the future that First Southern Bank may not operate that building, at least in the capacity that they had been. And our real concern is we didn't want to see that building, a building of that size, empty on the square. And so when the bank approached us about our interest in that building, obviously we had to put the dollars and cents to it. But, through that, it made sense for us to make that move. And now we're going to welcome a new business to the square here within the next year, and really a new business to Marion. And we're excited about not only our facility, but what's to come of our old facility in the future as well.
And we have Route 51 Brewing Company coming in, and they will operate under a different name in the former City Hall, but that's exciting.
Correct.
And as we talk about the former City Hall, one of the things we joke about is that there are 3 buildings on the square that are marked City Hall. One right next to ours, which was one of the original city halls. I'm not even sure it was the original city hall, but it was the former bank, also a former bank that had been turned into City Hall. That's now Tower Square Pizza. Still says City Hall on the front of the building. We've still got all the awnings on the last City Hall that's market, but that won't stay that way. But that building itself was built, I believe, in the 60s.
I believe that's right.
Right, and so that's not one of the older buildings on the square. You go around to the former Woolworths building where Seasoning Bistro is going in, another grand building, and just like the Goodall building and like the bank that is now City Hall. Another building that has not been abandoned to time, but instead is being invested in to create what feels so much like, you use this term all the time, movie magic on the square, because you've got these grand, beautiful buildings, the Citadel right there in the midst of them as well, along with other older buildings like ours that look their age, coming together for just an experience for people that come downtown. And that downtown experience, I know that's not all that you and the mayor care about, because you have a whole city to run and you've got some wonderful things happening out by the interstate, and you have all of these neighborhoods that have infrastructure needs and things that need to happen that you've got to pay attention to. And I know that's such a juggling act and such a thing that you need to make sure people understand that you have an awareness of all of these needs, and you have planning being done for all of them at the same time. But at the same time, you're building that community pride and that experience by doing a little focusing on the downtown.
Yeah, so to that point, I think a big part of what we're trying to accomplish on the square, and again, that can be a pain point for people. They think the square is perfectly fine how it was, and that may be the case. But I guess our approach to that is, in order for our downtown businesses to thrive, we have to create spaces and create a reason for people to be downtown. All the private investment that's happened on the square, let's say in the last 5-6 years, in part is probably due to the vision that they're seeing. As painful as the construction may be, it is short term, and we think that the dividends will be very long term as far as getting new people to the square. But the goal there is always to bring people downtown in order for them to discover the businesses on the square that they may not be aware of. And this last phase focuses specifically on pedestrian safety in that approach. And so we know that for the restaurants and the retail businesses downtown to thrive, cars can't be 9,000 cars that go through the square each day can't be driving by at 30 or 35 miles an hour and hope to patronize any one of those businesses. And so the goal, simply put, was to create a safe place for pedestrians to want to be, whether it's because of the ice rink or because they want to check out the fountains or because we're going to have additional green space down, whatever your reasoning for maybe getting out of the car and parking and walking around for a couple of hours may be. Without that draw, we felt a responsibility to bring that draw to downtown in order to help those businesses not only survive but thrive. And so that's been the motivation all along. And when you think of downtown in a bigger picture, the work we've done putting in the TIFs is one of the things that I'm most proud of in these last 5 years, residential TIF 1 and residential TIF 2, because of the amount of investment that we've seen, not only from the city's share of TIF, but also from private investment in those areas. When we think about the older neighborhoods in town, without some intervention, the cycle that we were seeing of homes becoming dilapidated because of their age. I'm not saying that it's happening in every neighborhood, but a large majority of neighborhoods are seeing reinvestment. And I have to think that TIF is part of that conversation. And so, to your earlier point about us, looking at not only downtown, but the west part of town out by the interstate, we obviously felt a inherent need and an inherent responsibility to take care of Old Marion before we saw, significant new development on kind of the newer part out by the interstate. And so we feel like we're doing that. The grant program that we have open now in residential TIF 1 and new this year in residential TIF 2 is already seeing a lot of activity. I think we've got over 15 applications between the two TIF districts so far. The money last year was exhausted in about 6 weeks, to the tune of about $250,000. And so those grants go to pay for home improvements, exterior improvements of residents and by landlords. And so, it's just an opportunity for the city to give the taxpayers back their money that they've paid in through real estate taxes in order to improve properties. Because, again, without that intervention, I'm not sure that we would have broken that cycle. So to me, that's been one of the biggest things we've been proud of. And obviously you touched on the development out on the west part of town. That's all exciting and up and coming, but we felt like we had to take care of our core first.
Well, yeah, and I think so often people misunderstand when they see big improvements being made and they see the vision being cast by City Hall, and they see this whole experience of things happening right around City Hall on the square and construction happening. They just imagine that every bit of it is taxpayer dollars happening, and for the vast majority of it, as you said, is private investment. These buildings are private investment. The Oasis development, private investment, and you all work cooperatively with that private investment to try to support it. That yes, there are going to be some hotel motel tax dollars going to help the Oasis development and that sports center that they're building out there. But we're not talking about taking money away from the city budget and pouring it into these projects. That city budget, it continues to work on the infrastructure, making our streets safe, our neighborhoods safe, our downtown safe, and so I would love to have more people get a grasp on the fact that no, your taxes are not going up because of this thing. Matter of fact, this administration found a way to cut some taxes for you. At the same time, they have created a motor here that has investors, as you mentioned in one of our last podcasts, investors jumping in from other places and wanting to be a part of this and pouring dollars into the city in a way that it's going to bring more people to pour more dollars into the city and make life better for everybody.
Yeah, and that's the goal. And I realize some people don't want to see growth, and I understand that. We've got our little Mayberry here of Marion, and it's our little small town, and we do a lot to make it feel small, especially during the holidays. And you talked about civic pride, and we have organizations like Marion Connects that honestly, they make the town feel so much smaller because they do such a good job attracting people from every corner of this town to their events on the square. And, it's an exercise in community building in what they're doing. And I don't know that organizations like Marion, I don't know that they recognize that, but it's such a beautiful thing when we can interact with people and make people feel welcome, that maybe we haven't seen on the square before or seen in some of these corners of town before. So it's an exciting thing. And, to your point, on the tax dollars, it's, the square project, we all unfortunately are on social media. We see comments, we see criticisms. And I think those are most of the time, I think that's good that we understand the criticisms that are out there. I know we hear a lot more criticisms than praises, and that's part of this role, I feel. But the things I see is our tax money could be better spent on other things, and that's absolutely probably true in certain circumstances. But to your point, Bill, the square project, the city is only funding about 20% of it. 80% of it is funded by a grant from the state of Illinois that had to be dedicated to this project on a transportation, pedestrian safety type project. So when I see comments of, well, this money should have went to this instead of fixing up the square. Well, in some circumstances it can't because it's got intended uses. So, I wish that we did a better job. And one thing that I think we could always do a better job of is interacting with the public a little more and helping maybe answer some of those questions. But I also know that social media is probably not the platform for that in most cases. I encourage people to check out our city council meetings. If they can't make them to the meetings, watch our YouTube recordings of those meetings and, try and interact with us. Of course, open door policy at City Hall. Happy to discuss any one of these concerns or issues or projects with any person. We're open door, open book. We'll show anybody anything. So, it's just a matter of trying to prioritize the things that we think will help Marion be better than it was yesterday. And I think that's what we're doing. And I don't expect everybody to agree with that either, but that doesn't mean we're not going to try.
Yeah, and we document all of the city council meetings in the Marion Star.
Right.
People can keep up with the details there. There are smart decisions to be made. I mean, I've covered the city through a couple of different administrations. Of course, that prior administration went on for more than 5 decades. So there's no way I could have done more than the Butler and the Absher administrations. But I admire both men. I've admired both administrations, and I told Mayor Mike that I've never seen a 5-year stretch of growth and development like we've just seen. And we got add another year or two onto that, and where it's going to become even more and more amazing. And again, with COVID thrown right into the middle of it. So. Yeah. Cody, we're extremely pleased and proud to have you at City Hall. You're very good to us. You're very communicative to us, and we appreciate everything that you do to juggle all of this on behalf of the mayor and on behalf of the administration, and to keep the city moving in the right direction. And we appreciate you joining us today.
I appreciate that, Bill. Thank you very much.
Cody Moake with the City of Marion, again, hitting a 5-year mark. And we're just grateful that he could come and kind of recap things for us this morning. And we'll visit Cody several times in this podcast in the future.
So one of the things that I really, really appreciate about all of the development that's happening in Marion is not only does the city have a vision for the new thing, but also they're really holding on to the historic feature or aspects of Marion. They're holding on to Marion's roots. They're just redeveloping buildings and restoring
rather
buildings.
Than letting them just be demolished and done away with.
Yeah, like some places just go in and they just want to demolish all of the historic buildings, but they have the vision and the insight not to let that happen. And the roots of Marion, of what makes Marion, and so much of Marion's roots happened on the square. That they're still holding on to that. They're restoring those buildings, and they're keeping all of that intact.
That's happening all over the place. I mean, you cast that vision out there from the leadership, and then you have individuals with resources jumping in to do some of those huge multi-million-dollar projects
New
like we see.
developments, yeah.
But then you also see it just in the older neighborhoods. You see residents making the most of these homes and some older homes. And I've seen, as Cody mentioned, the TIFs. I've seen in these residential TIFs some of these older houses coming back a little bit that had kind of gone into disrepair. So it's great to see that all over the place, and that's a really good point. And we're running out of time, but we do need to let Tom share a concern he has with you, because this is a question that we're going to ask you to respond to. Tom, what were you talking about earlier?
I had an engaging conversation with one of my son-in-laws, and he's an attorney. We talked about 30 minutes about this, and my wife was laughing. I was laughing, but it was the fact that he said, I've gotten to the point in my life where when I go to let's say to a fast food restaurant, he's talking about usually around lunchtime, I just want to order something. And usually you'll see the picture up on the menu and you'll see the description. And he says, I want a number 1. And he says, some places you go, they'll turn around and say, well, do you want da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da, da-da-da on it? Or usually it's a place where it's just you order number 1, and he says they give me the number 1, which has the picture and description. And so he said, I get very frustrated now when I go to a place and they want to ask me 5 other questions after I said I want to order a number 1. And he said that may be because I'm a guy. He said, I just don't want to talk during lunchtime. I just want to order, and I want to leave, and I want to eat and be left alone. So I don't know how people feel about that. Do you want to be engaged on everything? Or there's sometimes, there's some restaurants you go in, you get a number 1, you know what you're going to get. But there's some of us, my wife's this way too, she'll go in and change it. It's like, can you add so-and-so or can you subtract so-and-so? It never comes back right, I don't know how people feel about that. But he was really serious about this thing. We talked a long time about it.
It's funny because we were talking about this earlier. So as someone who has worked with thousands and thousands of customers, I know that, there have been plenty of times where someone will come in and just ask me, I need, for instance, I had a short time in shoes. I need red shoes. So here I am pulling every single red shoe that I can find to help her, meet her request. And then she turns around and pulls up a pair of brown shoes and was like, I mean something like this, And so I think sometimes, when you have so many customers coming in, you just want to do your best to take care of the customer. And sometimes that means trying to figure out are we on the same page? Are you asking for what I hear you asking for, or do I need to ask some more questions and get into a little bit of a deeper dive?
To avoid an angry customer
Exactly.
at the end.
Or bringing out your inner aisle Bundy. That's what I think about when it comes to shoes.
But there you go. But on the other side of it, you got some people that are just irritated by this should be just going so much quicker, right?
That's my son-in-law.
This is it's clear. Yeah. I see the picture. That's what I want. Just give me that, and instead of dragging out. So what kind of customer are you? Because this is tricky. If you're running a fast food restaurant or something, it's tricky to know how to navigate all these different personalities. Which person are you? Are you the person that just wants a quick experience in the drive-thru, or
have it their way?
Have it
their way?
Their way, meaning the restaurant's way. In other words, this is how they make it. This is what I get. Or do you want it your way, where you have to just you have to detail every last pickle or non-pickle that you have put on your sandwich, right? So I think that's a good question we can discuss. Let us know. Do you like it their way or your way? And do you like to answer all of those questions? I'm a their way person. Just I came here because that's what you do, and just give it to me.
I mean, when you're going into a place where you're not the expert too, you always want to listen to feedback from the people who know. Like sometimes I like to go into the restaurant and be like, "What's your favorite? What do you suggest?"
Yeah, I've seen you do that. I've never done that.
Yeah.
I've never asked their opinion. I've just looked at it and said, "Okay, that looks like something I can eat." And here we go. and there obviously there's not a whole lot that I won't eat, and so I don't get too picky about it. Some people are a little pickier, and they want to have that whole conversation, and usually that person is in front of me in line.
Of course, of course they are.
Because I'm just ready to get on with it. I honestly, now that I think of it, yesterday I went through a drive-thru and it's like, why is this person taking so long? It was one person in the car. How could this be taking this long? Did they not put any thought into this before they pulled up to the little board there? Or I guess they're probably just going back and forth, and who knows? The things that we get, irritated about in our modern world.
Exactly. There's real problems out there, right?
There are, and this is one of them.
This was not one of them.
Thanks, Tom. This is some of the hard-hitting kind of stuff.
This is the deep one. That was a deep one.
On Square It Up, and we got to get to the bottom of these problems and solve the world's problems. And this is one of the bigger ones yet. So, okay, all right. So there you go. That's our podcast for today. We'll be back at the end of the week with another one.
Yeah.
And we're just having a lot of fun.
Thank you for joining us.
Keep sending us those comments and responses, and share the word. Copy. If you're on social media, you can copy the link and share it to people and that kind of stuff. You can watch this on YouTube. You can listen to it on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, and other ways. And Ross Swinford, my son, has got that all set up. So you have all your normal options there. Big shout out to Tom Mann this week.
Yeah.
Okay, we did our first Zoom today, and Tom knows what he's doing over there. And Tom Mann is a man of many skills, including that great voice that you hear. But he also brought us our very important topic to end the show with. And so Tom is just
It was deep thoughts by Tom Mann. Yeah.
A+. A+, Tom. Thanks again for joining us. We'll see you next time. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.